Truly, the only yeah, I everyone reached out to me on the day of my murder. So clearly someone,
Had you
not everyone, but someone definitely knew what was going on.
had you expressed to anyone that you had suspicions on anyone?
I did not. I said, in fact, I said, I think I'm going to be the first one murdered. And in fact, I had my phone ready with the leave the chat ready to go. That's why I was off so fast, because I just had that feeling that it was going to be me.
In a messenger to me, you even said that day. You said that you thought you were going to be the first. You actually said that to me.
100%.
Well,
why did you feel that, Cho? Why did you feel that way?
You know, when you get this sneaky suspicion, so it was either because I don't know, I felt maybe I was too quiet or observing, or it was people who had played a game with me before kind of leading the conversation. So I don't know the real reason. I know that in my note from the Traitors, it said I was the least suspicious out of everyone. That's why I got banished or murdered, because I was the least suspicious.
Huh. Okay.
That was on my note. So I have no idea. Did you guys have any feelings why I would have got murdered?
Absolutely none. I mean,
none whatsoever.
Nobody said your name at all.
Well, maybe that's the reason. If absolutely no one thought it was you, then maybe like no one, like you wouldn't ever be banished.
Right.
Okay,
makes
that's
sense.
fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first few kills, they tend to go that way. It's who do we think might not be at the round table, right? Like,
Oh, 100%. Right. And I even said, when some of the people I was talking to, I said, I have a feeling I'm going to get murdered first. And I said, it's kind of a badge of honor if you get murdered first, because, maybe everyone thinks you're most threatening if they know you, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I said that to make myself feel better because I thought I was going to get murdered. But, I know there's been no talks that says, hey, you're coming back as a reader or hello, or as a faithful. There's nothing. We just got a message saying, do you want to come back and join us? And a chance to join us.
To come back.
So I know.
Oh gosh. Now the question is, he did say 2 of you were coming back though, right?
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's going to be a vote. That's why he said make sure the breakout rooms are important. So
that a vote, but I also had a brainwave that maybe he might make the challenge somehow help determine
right
those 2 people.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, I am going to leave and see if I can talk to some of the other returning players.
Yeah,
Michelle, love you, buddy.
Makes sense.
Did anybody watch UK?
No.
When they were in like those cage, so 3 returning players were put up in those cages.
One.
And
hope you're ready for that.
And then like the two that got lowered were the ones that stayed. So it could be a challenge.
Yeah.
Right? It could be a challenge.
Yeah. Where we determine, based on.
I have a strong suspicion that it's someone who's played a game with me before that is at least one of the traitors. I don't know how many traitors there are, but that would be my only suspicion, because there would be, in my opinion, no other reason why, other than what Victoria said. Maybe it's because I was quiet and no one would suspect me as being a traitor. So, and then I wouldn't get banned.
I know it's a tough call. Like I find it. I think it's really hard to figure out who the traitors could be. I mean, like, I have my suspicions of a couple of people, but I mean, it's hard. Everybody's just really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the list of people that I saw were up on the chopping block last night, that when he announced it, I was frankly shocked at most of them. So they weren't on my radar. Not that anyone's really on the radar, your first night, but
on the chopping block, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But again, it's how well you do in the at the round table as well. So.
Oh my God, Patrice! I can't believe you were murdered.
It sucks.
That's just wild.
I was quite surprised. I thought that they would keep me at least 2 other night, so I was quite surprised. But
Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because it doesn't even make sense for I don't know. It's same with Cell. Cell, you got the wrong end of the stick, so I'm glad that you are back. You started the game and was gone like right away. So
I feel
Yeah.
so
kudos to
bad.
you. Yeah.
You can ask
I
Daniel.
know. I'm
I
so
told him,
glad
I
you're
said, it's gonna
back.
be me. I said,
Yeah,
it's gonna
Chel,
be me.
yeah, he was like, I'll be surprised if it's not me tonight. Like, I feel like it's gonna be me, and we're like, why? And then you mentioned like the game that you guys play, like the mole
Yeah.
game, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and then it ended up being him.
I think you're right, Till. I think it's somebody that you previously played for. Why else?
Because there's
Yeah,
a few
sorry,
of
why
them
else?
on here, right?
Mm.
So there's what, 4 of them? 4?
We
Yeah, 4
Tina,
of them.
Who is it?
Jonathan,
Anthony
Anthony,
and Jonathan and
and
Brandon.
Brandon. Yeah.
Brandon.
So
It's really hard to suss out Brandon, to think that, maybe him, but Tina has definitely been on my radar, but I'm pretty sure she's on everybody's radar.
the only thing that seems
Mhm.
weird from, because I was telling them earlier about the 4 people that were put up last night, is the very first Zoom meeting, Brandon, before we even started, was saying Jonathan, 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 Jonathan.
Tina
And
was
I
named
was
Jonathan the first night too.
right.
Mhm.
So, and then I was surprised Jonathan's, I guess, yeah, Jonathan's name wasn't on the list. So maybe Brandon went quiet that it wasn't John. I don't know.
Brandon
I
wasn't
would-
there.
Yeah, like Brandon had to work, so he really wasn't
Oh,
there
okay.
for a lot of it.
Yeah, Brandon wasn't there. Patrice came in. Was that no? Patrice came right in at the end of round table and was able
Yeah.
to vote. Brandon never voted because
Gotcha.
he was.
Yeah,
but
that
his
was the name I
people
thought
aren't
was
gone
weird that wasn't
wrong,
on the list. So,
right?
but now it makes sense if Brandon wasn't there. So
Yeah, yeah, that makes
To be
sense
honest,
too.
though, I brought up Brandon's name and I was like, he could be the traitor. And everybody's like, he can't be the traitor because he's going to be too transparent doing that. And I'm like, but he isn't here. Like,
Yeah.
he's not here.
Well,
So, I mean, how can we judge whether or
he
not
knows
he's
how to
being
play the
transparent if
game.
he's not even
He
here?
knows how to play the game.
I will tell you one coincidence that I think is funny. Do I think she's a traitor? I don't know. But an hour before I got eliminated, Tina added me as a friend, like to chat.
Yeah.
And in the mole, an hour before I was eliminated, Tina added me.
Get out.
Before I was
Get
gone.
out.
Yeah, and she
Really?
was the mole.
That's
so-
funny.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird because I was waiting for it. So
Yeah.
What a
Seriously,
coincidence.
I watched your whole season when it was coming out, when Phil was putting it out like one episode at a time, and I was like, give me the next episode.
I
And
know.
Tina was doing the exact same thing that she was doing now. She was throwing out other people under the bus, and then backtracking, and then throwing people's names out. So, and now you're saying this, lots of similarities about how she played
Yeah.
as the mole.
Well, you know what's
And now
funny though? I was
playing
talking to Tina earlier today, and she's just like, "Oh, I feel like there's a lot of, suspicion on me. Me and my big mouth kind of gets me carried away." And I'm like, it is what it is. But
Legit, she could just be doing that to make sure she doesn't get murdered. But that's a lot of similarities between how she played
Yeah.
the mole and how she's playing this game.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
Chell.
And like, who would a trader want to get rid of first? A faithful, or get rid of somebody that they think is a traitor? I don't know.
They have to get rid of, like, they can only murder faithfuls.
Well, no, obviously, but I mean, like,
I
do
gotcha.
they try to keep someone on so they keep the heat off of them or something?
Chell, can I wanted to
Yeah.
speak to you for a quick second, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Yeah.
I heard, because someone was saying that you thought that, or that your letter said that you were the least suspicious, so that's why you were murdered. Is that correct?
that's what it said.
And
By
then,
virtue of the murder,
and do you believe that?
traitors.
Do you believe that, or do you think? Because I thought when you left, I was like, oh, it's someone who knows Chell, because Chell is smart and could suss people out. That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too. And I think that, I don't know, but I know, like, talking to Daniel, talking to Adam, I was 100% said, hey, I'm leaving tonight. So like before it even happened.
Yeah, he kept
So
why
saying,
were
like,
you
I'm gonna be
so
surprised
sure,
it's not me. I'm
Chell?
surprised if it's not me.
I have that feeling. Like I'm
I came here so I could
They
speak
stole
to
him.
Chell.
I'm screaming
Stole
people.
him. Do you guys think it's gonna be a vote in or a challenge or something?
What's that?
I feel like
Do
a
you guys
vote
think
because
it's
I think he would have like had to have planned a challenge, and this was unexpected, right? So
So what, like, do you think it's like taught to vote getters or something?
I don't
But
know.
I think it's a
Probably.
lot
And
of
it'll
voting
be
though for one
interesting.
night.
I'm this. Oh, I love this because it tells us so much.
Mhm.
You know what I
But
mean?
I'm kind
Because
of curious if the vote is public, because like maybe if Chell was voted up because people were threatened, then we could see who's not willing to
Mhm.
vote him back.
I mean, that would be good strategic, like, but then I also think that's a lot of voting for one night,
we should
I agree
which
with
doesn't
that.
really matter either way.
we should bring people back that we think that we can read, and we could tell if they're acting differently.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think Chell is a very strong player and contender. Yet if he's faithful, but yet if he's a brought back as a traitor, oof, I don't know that I could tell.
Right? Because we
And
don't even
then
know how many traitors there are. So, like,
no,
he totally could have been.
and I feel like, well, no, he couldn't have been because he was murdered. But
No. I mean, brought back as one.
yeah, because there might only be, because I didn't know we're down players, right? So like
No.
there might have I know we're all speculating, is there 3, is there 2, is there 4? But like I think now for me, I think there's probably only 2.
Yeah.
And then I feel like one of the people get brought back or might just be it.
That makes
Jo-
sense.
Jonathan, I understand what you're saying, but also to be honest, my initial thought was, what if they're both gonna come in as faithful, and we did start with 4 traitors?
Yeah, could be. I mean, I'm just purely speculating. I have no idea.
It
Very
is
possible.
possible that they could both be brought back as faithfuls, and like it's their job to convince people that.
And
Right.
you know
Yeah.
what, though? In this whole conversation, this is where it makes me think they're saying by way of challenge, and whoever wins a challenge versus a vote. Because if we are voting, what does it matter if they're a traitor or not?
I still want to vote. How I think I've spoken to all of you today, or most of you,
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm
Like, for the
still
round
sticking.
table, for
I'm still
sure.
sticking with who I want to vote for at the round table, because that's my biggest question.
Yeah.
And even how they're discussing, that particular person's discussing stuff in these rooms right now,
Yeah.
is still sus to me.
And
So
I feel like you and I are on the same page on that
Yeah.
one.
yeah,
was
and
gonna
then
say,
we
and I
can
feel like-
figure out.
And
Sorry. go-
actually, Chell brought up that same person. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel
Uh,
like it'll tell us a lot about it too. Like, obviously, if she's a traitor, it's gonna be great. But even if she isn't, we
It
can
will
still work
say a
that and
lot.
see. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can kind of see
Yeah.
what happened
Well,
with
the
Brad.
whole
and-
the whole like, oh, Jonathan, I think Patrice
up,
was
what up?
murdered to set you up.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
like giving you helpful information. I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that. Like I don't think it's a
Yeah.
real setup. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think it's
I
just.
am. Yeah, no,
don't
I
know.
agree with you, but I am curious to see what, like, I've heard from Chell, but I haven't really heard yet from Patrice or Caleb their, I don't know, speech to save themselves.
you should pop over to the other room then if you want to hear that, right?
Yeah, you should talk to them.
Yeah,
They-
are they over there?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
both
what
just
room?
said like
Are
they
they in
don't know. You know, I was asking them, like, both of them, like, questions about, you know, who do you suspect? Why do you think you were either murdered or banished? You were the traitors behind the banishment, Caleb. Well, you know, and they're both like, I don't know. But you should speak to them for sure and see what you.
Yeah, because like
so.
I am so blown away by that.
Yeah.
So blown away.
Yeah. Very surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I
I'm gonna
haven't
hop
heard-
over.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from Caleb yet. So I like
Yeah.
Patrice was here and I heard from him and I've heard from
Same,
Chell.
like,
I haven't heard from
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
so I'd like
I kind of want to hear from Caleb too and get his point of view.
go and see find
I
what
feel
he's
like I keep
Do you
missing.
know where they? Do you know where they are? Archway. I'm going the archway.
Yeah, I can tell you.
I know the
Um,
garden, I guess.
Oh, she's gone.
If
Yeah,
you-
because I was saying too in like one of the other rooms, I'm like, not thinking, like, I was like, oh, for me, I'm like, the traitors are probably behind the Caleb vote, but I'm like, oh, it's also possible that they were the Brad vote. You know what I mean? That just failed, really.
Mm.
So we know we don't know what Brad is, but we know what Caleb is now. I mean, that's really interesting as well. But I just have to keep my mind open to, like, it could have been either way. I just don't feel like, why would the traitors vote separately in the first round? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Unless someone was
you want to
uninformed.
vote separately to not seem like you discussed it?
I guess only if none of our names were
I
out
was
there.
thinking as
You know what I mean?
I was thinking as well, they could possibly vote differently, taking the power into account, because we still don't know what that power can do. You know, what if it's something like an idol? You know, then people are gonna start splitting votes to like make sure whoever they want to go for sure goes.
True. Yeah. The power
Yeah.
I just don't know. Because it's one of the people who didn't get a shield the first night, right?
Yeah, it was like if you volunteered to leave the room,
Yeah.
you didn't
You're
get a
up
shield,
for
you got a
it.
chance to you
Yeah.
got a chance for the secret power. Yeah. Were the 3 returning players, they weren't eligible for that, right?
No.
I don't
Okay,
think
okay,
they
that's
were.
what I thought. Yeah, because I remember they left the room